Hello, I'm Matt from Mantic.
And I am Rich from Goblin. And today we're taking a look at the Kings of War boxes for Northern Alliance Starter Army. We got them both out because we're both playing these two armies against one another in a series, but we wanted to talk to you about what we have made from our boxes. So this video is all about the Northern Alliance. So if you're interested in the Nightstalkers, sorry. So,
Next time.
Exactly, next time. This is a really good way to get cracking if you're not using the Shadows of the War box, which actually has 2 warbands in it for these. Maybe you want a slightly different unit count. This has got ice elementals, whereas the other one has snow trolls. Yeah. It's a great start if you're just getting a box for yourself, and they're also awesome value. So from this, we have built a force from each one to go against one another. It comes to around, what, the 700 points?
Yeah, around about, without any artifacts, and I've loaded up on spells. So.
Yeah, Northern Alliance tends to be quite a costly army from, well, maybe it's just my choices. But I digress. What I've chosen to do with this box, and this is an interesting one, is start off with the Clansmen and just do a troop of 20 of these Clansmen. Now, you get 30 units in the box, so using minimum model count, you can get, like, you can have a horde of 30, which would allow you to use a slightly different makeup of troops. Because it's a smaller army box, you normally disregard that unlocking structure. Yeah. So normally, this army, these guys, my pack hunters, wouldn't actually be legal. But in games below 1,000 points, you would disregard that. Because you'd need another 10 of your Clansmen in order to have 30 and then 10 here. Yeah. That said, this still works fine, and I think this is quite nicely weighted. So I've gone for a regiment of Clansmen who allow me to unlock, if I was using that rule, the leader or the bolt thrower, because we're doing it, you know, with less than 1,000 points. I've got them both. And I've got my troop of pack hunters, and I've got my ice elementals. There's not a huge much more to say than that, other than these little critters who've snuck into the board as well.
They always seem to be.
Yeah, they don't get mentioned on any of the boxes. Now, these things, people are like, they're like gold dust. They're like, where can I get them? Where can I get them? They're on your pack hunter sprues. Yeah. So every sprue of pack hunters, you get 10 pack hunters, and with that you get another sprue with the weapons on, with like the shields or the javelins. Now, the javelins also have the snow foxes on, so you get 2 per sprue. So in this box, you'll get 2, 4, 6 because you've got 1, 2, 3 sprues for your clans.
Yeah, we intend to include the swarms on the sprues for your infantry, because then you have them with it and you're not looking around. So because usually you're going to have a load of Clansmen or a load of throwers, so you're going to have snow foxes as well. Yeah, which always helps.
It's given me enough to have an actual regiment of snow foxes. Now I've also got one extra one which I've managed to pinch. Because the Northern Alliance troops can take a snow fox with them as one of their upgrades.
Which is very cute.
It is very cute. It gives them an additional attack. So my lord, who is leading up the army, has that additional attack on the snow fox. Now, the reason why I've decided to build them like this is because I wanted more ranged troops rather than one block of, obviously they've got a lot of staying power and they're very heavy hitting. I wanted those ranged troops. So these guys, with their javelins, you know, they can move through whatever terrain they want. They've still got their wild charges. Javelins, the upgrade to javelins is more accurate than the bows, and they've got that piercing rule there, so they can do a bit more damage. And it allows me to spread my army out a bit more. Always get your snow foxes, because those are going to be they look awesome, but they're going to be really useful in tying up the enemy units, because they're quick, they're nimble, so they can do multiple pivots. Yeah. And you know, people are like, oh, you got snow foxes, which is always a nice talking.
Where did you get that? So you touched on those, like obviously your ice elementals are new. What they're all about?
So the ice elementals are pretty awesome. They're a large infantry, aren't they? I believe. Yep. So the snow trolls are monstrous infantry. Ice elementals are large infantry. The Northern Alliance have this ability with a lot of their models to apply frozen debuff, I suppose, to the enemy units. So the bolt thrower can do that as well on a hit, and that reduces the enemy's movement speed down to, well, by 1 point. It doesn't stack, it just occurs the once.
Thank God.
Because you could have a lot of them. So the Icekin Hunters, the Master Hunter, for example, when they deal damage, can slow down the troops. What that allows you to do is almost control the board. So your guys who are going to be trying to get in up close and in the face, I'm ideally going to be either meeting them with my foxes to slow them down, or hitting them with the bolts to slow them down while my guys get within, for example, their charge range or their shorter range for the javelins of 12 inch.
Yeah.
Because they've got a shorter range than the bows. If I can keep you at a distance or get you where I want you before I charge in with my crushing strength thunderous.
Yeah, it makes all the difference. If you're lowering the speed, then you're lowering the charge range as well.
Exactly.
And as you said with the thunderous and wild charge, if it stops me proccing my wild charge before you can, then it's going to be absolutely amazing in combat.
Well, like the game I played against Rob, for example, if I had that inch difference, he wouldn't have been able to get a charge on me. So it can make all the difference in that, and keeping you where you want to be for my anticipation of where I'm going to move in. But yeah, they are pretty powerful. It's an icy breath attack spell that they have. And they also have crushing strength, so they're pretty tough.
Which is always good. Anything with crushing strength I like.
Yeah, so you get 3 of them in the box. Obviously I'm going to base 2 of them, because multi-basing, and I'm going to take this guy for my Vanguard. Because you can do Ice Elementals in Vanguard.
Yeah, they're very good.
And he's going to be awesome. So I don't have to worry about that. Because they're quite big. All the Northern Alliance models, they're quite big, aren't they? So I don't know anyone that's going to be using full model count.
And with what's great about you in Vanguard is you do get that large unit that you get to use, so it's perfect for that. Yeah,
so one of the rules for Northern Alliance in Vanguard is you get to take 1 additional large unit than you normally would. So I guess technically that means you could run with a Snow Troll Prime and an Ice Elemental on a 100-point game.
Absolutely terrifying.
Or something
They're
like
absolutely
that.
amazing in that smaller scale.
So we're looking forward to that, because I'm going to be taking advantage of that in our games. Because we've got some games lined up in Vanguard. I feel my caravan would be well protected by a Frost Cavalry.
I'm excited to see how they do. So with them coming in, obviously you can build them in different ways. So what if you want to touch on that?
Yep. So I've built. So the Clansmen can be built as Clansmen with. They've got so many heads. What I've tried to do with mine, if you'll notice, my pack hunters are all ladies.
Oh, I didn't actually notice that.
They're all ladies' heads. I love the costumes. I love that they just. You haven't got the elf nakedness. They just look. They look hardcore. They look awesome. So you've got so many different spear hand grips, angles, and I think I've got per sprue 5 different options left over. Dozens of different shield options. These guys can have bows and arrows, but the options they have in the box are spears. The upgrade is spears, or javelins rather. The regular Clansmen, they're sword and board. You have a selection of bone axes, steel swords, and regular axes.
A good mix of them.
Yeah, got a good mix through. They've got all sorts of different backpacks that they can have. Some of them have got bones coming out of the back. Some of them have got little actual they're carrying things. There's bundles of javelins on the sprue. There's loads. I've got another one which I'm building in progress to make this a full set of 40. And they've all got the bundles of javelins on their backs and stuff. And I like the idea of that because, maybe the Clansmen aren't holding the javelins, but why would they not have a bundle of them?
Exactly. They seem to carry everything that they might need for battle.
And they're remarkably detailed, and the Northern Alliance to paint them has been really quite simple. Actually, there's a lot of dry brushing involved on the Northern Alliance models. So my snow trolls are just dry brushed, and I think they look fantastic.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of different ways to do it, which was amazing. Obviously we've got Duncan, our graphic designer and layout artist, really happy I remembered his full job title. I'm very proud. But yeah, he's done them sort of darker and more muted, but
his Ice Queen looks on point. I really like his Ice Queen. So this chap, for example, was painted up by one of our sponsors, the Painting Coach. He's got a tutorial video on this very model on his YouTube. Looks fantastic.
We're gonna have some close-up photos, obviously. We got it.
Yeah, because he does look fantastic. And these guys, there are several tutorials floating around. I'm going to take this board out one day.
Yeah.
Several tutorials floating around on these. I believe Luke's APS does a really good one.
Oh yeah, friend of the channel.
Yep. How to paint these very, very fast. Basically just using several different primer cans from different angles. The frost effects. I was really afraid of these frost effects. So Lloyd's also done the bolt thrower. And he was like, yeah, it's really easy. This is how you do it. And it's literally 3 steps, and the frost effects look ace. And I've managed to recreate them on my slam dunk basketball Ice Queen. She
has got a slam dunk basketball.
She's done a switch. There. And the same with the frost wolves. They're just dry brushed to a sort of whitish grey.
Yeah.
Sorry, they're snow foxes.
Snow
not
foxes.
wolves.
No.
But yeah, for
They are
one, they are pretty hoofing big, aren't they? They're scary. But for one army box, I think that's awesome.
It gives you a lot of options how you want to play it, especially and as you pointed out in the book, we do recommend that if you're playing a smaller game, then you ignore the troop unlock rules because it lets you have a bit more variety, lets you have a wider board, which I think is important for getting used to how flanking works, just how maneuvering works. So you're not just using like blob, and it lets you have a bit more fun and mix it up what you want to use.
Yeah, we're not cheesing it by doing this. It's just below that
Pinky
1,000
promise.
points. It doesn't necessarily make as much sense in a game. But yeah, as you get to larger games, you need that. It's like the core troops that represent that faction.
Yeah.
It would make sense that that's the core of their army, and then there's sort of attachments to that. So the Lord, very inspiring. He's brutal. Some of his stats. I have to flick the page. So he's got his Frost Wolf with him. So he's got 6. Snow Fox.
Well
A tally with him, giving him 6 attacks rather than his 5. Crushing Strength 2.
Which is amazing because he is an individual, isn't he?
He is an individual. Mighty as well, so he's not afraid of anything. Very inspiring. And Wild Charge. And he has other options too. He can have an aura which gives Wild Charge to heavy infantry and regular infantry. So if you have the Hurskals, the big heavy troops in bigger armies, they can also then have a Wild Charge.
Which is just going to help you get in there.
The whole Northern Alliance army, it's just a bunch of angry, screaming Vikings, isn't it? Just charging at you.
We do love the aspect of them. They are mad. Yeah. And they definitely look like they've been in the wild waste for a while.
They look like they're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
In our tundra.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just ace. That's basically all of his rules. And then the bolt thrower has that frost free ability to apply frozen as well. It's got a huge range.
Yeah, which is ideally what you want to be doing with your war engines, and especially if you've got that ice tipped, then from a massive range you're then placing that debuff on them, and you can place that just completely out of the way because if someone steps out of line, then you can launch an ice bolt at them and put them in their place.
It's for a bolt throwing device. It's surprisingly accurate and dangerous as well, and it's got blast.
Blast is incredible.
So it hits essentially multiple times.
Yes.
So the likelihood of you scoring that 1 point of damage needed to freeze somebody is, if you hit with it, then you're more than likely going to do that. So it's pretty powerful. It does have reload though, so it is quite vulnerable. Yeah,
you're not really going to be shuffling it around if you've put it in a bad spot or if the enemy predicts where you're wanting to fire on. But so, I mean, it works out with Elite on it. You're going to be, it is surprisingly accurate.
And I do have a second one, so I'm basically just going to have a cross across the board, so you're not going to be able to get away from them. I'm giving away my tactics here, but
that's fine. I'm just going to be writing them down over here.
Yeah. But that's the entirety of the box. Mm-hmm. I'm really looking forward to getting some more of the elves in, so and the nades. So you've got the berserkers and the icekin in as we grow this. So I think a couple more clansmen for me to build this out for the ability to have just a solid chunk in the middle. And then I'm going to rely sort of on the icekin hunters and the heavy thegans and plenty. I want several pack hunter troops. Just
especially if you're kind of going for a nice tipped centric thing, slow everything down so you can maneuver, which sounds amazing, and I'm really scared, but it seems like a good way to go. And obviously building upon the starter set, then it's going to be, you can build upon and have a lot of options. Yeah,
I think this is a really nice varied set, especially when you throw in the wolves, the foxes.
You dip your toes in with everything. You've got your hero, your war engines, your large infantry, your swarms, so you get to sort of play with everything, see what you really like, because I know there's some people that they sort of center towards other stuff, whether it is like they use a lot of war engines and stuff which can really work.
Which will be interesting. I can see myself building out the elementals. Ice Queen is going to be in there as a hero. Bolt throwers, and you're just going to be dealing with a lot of stuff, tying you up. For me, which I feel plays to how I feel the army will be built. So, is.
Yeah.
It's like snow guerrilla warfare.
Yeah, and then the worrying thing is when I finally get to you, you're still actually going to be doing well. So
yeah, I anticipate these guys being able to stick around for quite a while.
Yeah, from experience, I know playing with Elvis, they do stick around a lot, and so it'll be interesting to see what you do with them.
Yeah, well, I'm probably going to surprise myself too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is the box for the Northern Alliance of just the starter army, basically.
Yeah.
Simple army. There is the 2 set, obviously, which gives you slightly fewer. Actually, you still get 40 clansmen.
Yeah.
It's an awesome box.
Yeah, you still got a lot to play with, which is fantastic.
And then there's the Mega Army box, which gives you about 1,000 snow trolls.
Absolutely incredible. They do not die.
Which we will look at eventually in future as well. But for now, that is how I have built my Northern Alliance army from this box. I hope you've enjoyed seeing that, and I'd be quite keen to hear how you've set yours up and whether my tactic is actually going to work. Can I win through snaring and tying you up?
Don't give him any tips.
I might just need to invest in a giant just to walk behind you. That's how I lost to Rob.
Yeah.
I didn't get a giant in that game, or did I?